What's going on, guys? I'm Bill and welcome to Bill's How To. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to fix a crack in the ceiling and also in the cornice. Let's get straight into it, guys. Let's do this. Alright guys, so we've got a crack here in the ceiling and in the cornice that runs throughout the hallway. Now if I press up on the ceiling here, there's a little bit of movement, but not too much. We're going to go up in the ceiling and reinforce this as well. The first thing I want to do is open this crack here up, see exactly what it is that I'm working with, especially because if we look really close there, you can see that somebody's actually done some patchwork here in the past. So we're going to open that up and see exactly what we're working with. So I'm going to take a little scraper, the 7-in-1, 1,000,000-in-1. We're going to take this little pointy section here that has a little V in there. We're going to simply push it into the crack and just start pulling that one there back along with the crack. That's going to open it up. Do the same thing from the other side. And I can see there's mesh tape that's being used here. So once again, run this all the way through until it's completely cleaned out. So you can see now we've opened up that crack. That's pretty much all we need here. Because we've got that mesh tape there, that means somebody's patched it in the past, and that also means that there's going to be a little tiny hump here from the previous work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to try and peel that mesh tape back out. That way I'm going to have a bit of a smoother, flatter surface to work with. So the easiest way to do this is going to be by simply using just a little scraper, anything you've got. Try push that in until we can get one little edge of that mesh tape. And then we're going to try and peel that one there back. So you can see there, that's coming out. That's one side there off. I'll try to pull the camera back a bit so you guys can hopefully see. So that's one side of the mesh. Now hopefully they've done it on the other side, which they have. So we'll take this side here off as well. So now we've got all that mesh tape out of the way. You can see that we've got a little recessed area here now. That makes it a lot easier to fill in and get it nice and flat once we're done. We've got some screws on one side, but not on the other. So I'm not sure what's going on up in the ceiling. We're going to jump up there and have a look. This side here is a lot more rigid than this side here. We've got a bit more flex coming from here. So I'm going to just take my utility knife, run that in through the middle and just clear out any of that mess. Make sure that it's open as nice and wide as possible. And then we're going to jump up into the roof and have a look at what we can do to support this. Alright, so I've got this crack here now completely opened up, nice and clean all inside, and I don't actually have to go up into the roof. And the reason for that is now that we've opened it up, if I push that blade straight in, somebody has actually done half the process correct. They've put the timber up on top to support it. So all you basically need to do is go up in the roof, put a timber on both sides of this board, and then you screw onto both sides. I don't know why this guy's decided to screw just on one side, support one side, but not the other. So that's the reason why this one here has failed over time. So what we're going to do is, because we've already got that piece of timber that's running all the way along here, we don't have to go up into the roof. We're just going to simply put some screws on both sides. That's going to support it. And then I'll show you guys how to fix that cornice section as well. So I've got my screws ready to go. If you like, you can take a stud finder as well, and you can make sure that there is in fact a stud up there and that it's wide enough. So make sure you've got a good quality one. This one here is actually very accurate. So simply put that over the top and you can run it across and make sure that you do have a timber running on both sides of your plasterboard, or the joint there, or the crack. And we're going to be able to screw into that. So that's an easy way to make sure that there is in fact a timber running all the way across here. So we can now take our screws and reattach this. And you can see there that one's actually pulled up just a bit. So now we've got both sides of this crack or the joint completely screwed now. It's nice and strong on both sides. We're going to take a scraper, Clean everything off, any loose material, just get rid of it. All right, that's looking pretty good now. We can leave this as is. We're gonna start working on the cracks now on our cornices. We'll get that one there opened up so we can fill in all at the same time. So now we're gonna fix the crack here in the cornice. I'll just put this camera down. Hopefully you guys can still see. And what we're gonna do is just take a utility knife and we're gonna V out this little section here by simply cutting on either side of the crack. So we'll start from the top, cut that there out. It's a lot easier to maneuver the utility knife. Follow that, trace it, and we're gonna cut that section there out. Same thing on the other side. Clean up any little furry sections that might be hanging around from the paper. All right, that's looking pretty good now. I'll bring you guys in, show you what we're doing. So if you have a close look now, we've just simply opened up that crack by V'ing it on either side. It's now got plenty of space for our product to sit into. It looks like there's a bit of gap filler here or something on the side. We're gonna quickly clean that up before we start filling. Repeat the same process on the other side for the cornice, and I'll see you guys in a bit. So we're gonna fill this in using some cornice cement. You can use base coat if you like. I prefer to use cornice cement. It dries much faster and sets harder. It's almost like an adhesive here. And what we're going to do is just simply fill in this area here, pre-fill it all. Don't be concerned about your finish because we're not trying to finish it and get it nice and smooth. We're trying to fill it all in so we can tape it. I'll try my best to keep myself out of the camera so you guys can actually see. All right, so now we've got the bulk of it filled. What we're going to do now is just make it a little bit thicker straight over the top. We're basically creating a little bedding now for our tape to sit into. So straight over the top, just skim it like that. Touch more in that middle and we're pretty much ready to go. All right, so now we've got that little section there bedded in. What we're going to be using to tape it is Fiber Fuse, one of the best tapes out there. It's the easiest to use, especially if you're new to this. Get yourself some Fiber Fuse tape. It's a little bit itchy if you run your hands on it the wrong way, but other than that, it works honestly really, really well. It sits nice and flat and you won't get any bubbles, you won't have any problems. Just simply tack it there. We just press it in lightly. We'll come right to that edge there and we'll tear it. All right, so now what we do is just start in the middle. You can hold it there if you like. Smooth it out to one side. Try to pick up any of that excess that might drop off. Go back the other way now, make sure it's completely embedded. Pick up any of that excess that's on the edges. Alright, and that there is our base coat completely taped in. We'll let this one here set. It should hopefully take maybe 20-30 minutes. If you've got any mess laying around, you can pick that all out now while it's still nice and fresh. Cornice cement is pretty hard to sand, so you want to just be careful with it. We'll now start on our cornices and I'll show you guys the easiest way to fill in the cracks on our cornices. So to fill the crack in on a cornice, it's really difficult to do with a regular scraper. What we're going to be using are these little blades here. They come in a range of different sizes. If I can find a link, I'll put them in the description. But this is going to be your best friend for now because you can hear just how flexible that is. And that'll actually contour to the area perfectly, where a normal scraper or a joint knife won't do that. So what we're going to be using is just these ones here, whether it's a crack that you're filling in, you've got bubbled or peeling paint on your cornices. This is the easiest way to do it. So we'll take a little one for now, just a small size. And all we're going to do is just simply fill this one here in so it's nice and flat. You can see how easy it is to clean off. So we'll fill all that in. Same thing up here. Make sure the bottom's all filled in. Alright, we can remove any of that excess that's around the edges. And that's it, nice and easy. We're going to let this one here set now for probably about 30 minutes or so. It'll be completely hard and we can put a top coat over the top. But if you have a close look there, that's all we've done. Just simply fill it in with a base coat or your cornice cement in my case. And I'll see you guys in a bit. So it's been about half an hour now. Everything should be nice and dry. What we're going to do is just take a scraper. We're not going to sand it. We're just going to simply get rid of any high spots that there might be. Quick little scrape just like that. Same thing on the other side. Everything's looking good. We're now going to use our top coats. I'll put a photo in the description so you guys can see what it is. Don't worry about your finish just yet. Get the product all onto the ceiling first and then we'll smooth it all off towards the end. So hardest part about this is just simply getting all your product up onto the ceiling. Walls are much easier. Easiest way is probably just fill in the middle, straight over the tape, create a little bedding like we did before we taped it. Take a little bit more product, go out to the side of it. And as you progress, just start using larger joint knives. That's going to make your life much, much easier. So that's the other side. Do the same thing over here. I could have technically used a larger joint knife from now. Fill that all in. Take a bit of this excess here so I don't have to get off my ladder. Alright, that's looking pretty good. What we'll do now, take our joint knife, we go from one side, put a little bit of pressure on this edge here. That way that's going to just simply feather that edge off for you just a little bit. Now we've got a bit of extra material to use. Same thing on this side here. So now we've got our edges nice and smooth. We're going to go straight over that middle section now, nice and slowly, just a little bit flat. And that's going to smooth everything out for you. So that's looking pretty good. Once again, doesn't have to be 100% just yet. We've still got another coat to go. I can still see there's a bit of a ridge here, so I might go over the top of that. You can keep playing with it as much as you like, but sometimes it's better to just wait, let it dry, sand whatever you need to sand, and then fill it in again. So that's the upside. If this is your first time doing it, You can continuously put layer on top of layer, just bring it out slightly wider every single time so that you get a nice transition. Alright, that's looking pretty good. We're just going to smooth the edges off. Flatten out this middle section. And that can even stay like that as is. So now we're going to do the same thing as we did initially for our cornices. So for the cornice, we're going to be using a larger blade this time around. Do the same thing we did as we filled it in. The only difference is this time around, we're also going to bring it up and out wider than what the actual crack was. So that's going to help you blend everything in. You might get away with just 2 coats, but if not, we can do a 3rd coat, that's not a problem. Bring it out slightly wider, blend it all in. We need to get this bottom section here as well. There's no way you can do this with a regular joint knife. It's just too hard, too small of an area to work on. That's looking good there. I'll just slightly bring it out a little bit wider. That's looking good. Alright, so we're going to let this one here dry, and then we're going to come back, knock off any of these high spots that we've got here, any little ridges that we've got. If we need a 3rd coat, then we're going to use a larger one, and we're simply going to bring it out just a little bit more, blend it, and then we can get started on sanding it. So we're going to repeat the process one last time. We're going to quickly knock off any high spots, simply by scraping it. Same thing over here. We're using a larger joint knife and we're going to bring it out a bit wider. Alright, so now we've got the bulk of it up onto the ceiling. We're going to flatten out our edges so that we've got a nice transition. So if you want to flatten it out or feather out your edges, just simply put a bit of pressure on one side. Same thing over here. So that's our edges done. All we need to do now is just knock off any high spots in the middle and level it all out. So it's a little bit of an awkward position that I'm standing in. And I'm trying not to block the camera's view. Might have to bring it out a little bit further this way. So once again, just using a larger blade, we're going to go out just a little bit wider. Alright, that's out wide enough. Now we can just knock off those edges, same thing. Once again, just to reduce the amount of sanding. Flatten out that middle section. So once it's all dry, this is what it ends up looking like from a distance, and we'll come up a bit closer and I'll show you guys what it looks like. I'm really happy with the way everything's turned out so far. There's not too much sanding that's going to be needed up here, so I'm going to do it all by hand, especially in these cornices here. You want to just fold the sandpaper into your hand and then run it along that contour until you blend everything in nicely. So I'm going to quickly sand this one here. So I've already sanded the ceiling because it's hopefully pretty straightforward, just simply sand it down flat. With regards to the cornices here, fold it into your hands like I mentioned earlier. You want to take that edge, you can run it along the edge of the cornice there. Make sure you take off any mess that you might have left. Give it a nice little profile, do the same thing on the bottom. And then we're going to fold it like this, straight into that curve there. So we're going to run along the edge of the curve there, simply going back and forth, pretty simple, until you've got a nice transition. This side here is absolutely perfect. I'll just do this side here as well. Try to keep my arms out of the way. And that is absolutely perfect there. That top section, I just need to clean that edge off. And that's perfect. So once it's all done, this here is the finished product. Our ceiling is absolutely dead flat, perfect transition from old to new. Depending on the lighting, you can't even tell that it's actually been patched. I'm not up to the painting stage yet, so I can't show you guys a before and after. What I might do though is I might actually just touch up with the brush here on the cornice, just to show you guys what kind of a finish we're going to actually achieve here. So once the cornice has been painted, this is what it ends up looking like. There is no way you'd be able to tell that there was any previous patchwork here or previous damage or a crack or anything like that. Super happy with the way this one here has turned out. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video and you've learned something new. This is going to save you guys plenty of money by being able to do it yourself. So as always guys, like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching Billshowto.